Well, joining me now inside the wind tunnel, an old friend, a Hall of Famer, a guy that NASCAR fans know intimately, and now a lot of others do as well after his performance in the SRX series this past season. We're talking about Bobby Labonte. Bobby, so good of you to join me inside the wind tunnel. So let's just jump into the deep end of the pool. You're supposed to be retired, and yet you race in the SRX, you compete with your own modified, you're a veteran of the Euro series. You just can't get it out of your blood, can you?
Well, there will be a time. There will be a time that will be out of my blood. It's just not there yet, and I don't want to prolong it forever. I mean, that's not my goal. But when you're feeling good and you know still able and capable and this and that, I think that it's you might as well have fun doing it.
Is it possible to describe or to put into words for somebody that has not ever done what you do? And I'm not talking even at the ultimate level, but across the nation on short tracks of America, when a driver gets to strap himself in a race car, whatever it may be, that sense, that feeling that just kind of erupts inside of you as an athlete.
Yeah, I mean it really is. I'm enjoying it, and I do enjoy it. And from the time I raced at Caraway, me and my dad raced there and started my career, but really I mean, whether it was last Saturday night at Dominion Raceway and 2 weeks from now at New River Valley, or whatever they call it now, Motor Mile, and for me, I think it's just I don't know. I feel like you're part of a team. It's a goal. You're trying to win. Um, and when you strap in a car, I mean, to me, that's the most fun. I mean, when you can get in and buckle up, crank the engine up, drive out, and go as fast as you can. I mean, that's a great feeling to me. And obviously, some people that have raced, decided, my brother's example. He's like, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore. But for me, I still have that enjoyment. I still enjoy that. I love the camaraderie of a team. I love the winning more than the agony of defeat. But you get to win, you get a chance at it, and hopefully you go out there and do the right thing for other people that are watching and paying attention, and they get to enjoy it.
Let me circle back to a little bit about your career, because it's, to me, one of those typical journeys where your dad instilled in both you and Terry a love for motorsports. You were guys hip deep in it when you were just youngsters. In your wildest dreams, Bobby, did you ever imagine that you would accomplish what you have, let alone being inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
No, I mean, obviously not. And growing up in Texas and racing go-karts and quarter midgets, and then to the North Carolina, we go and get a ride here, do this, that, build my own stuff, and I never thought in a million years that would have all come to fruition like this. You have to have goals, and a goal would be to win,
Sure.
or be competitive and then win, and then go to the next track and win, and then the Busch Series, and the story goes on and on. But without our parents, making sure that we had a goal to go for, and we chose that. I mean, and my dad, I was thinking about this the other day. You think about my parents, both of them, and my dad especially, obviously being a mechanic, and he, when a question's asked to me about something racing wise, and I go back in my Rolodex, or not my Rolodex, but my memory bank, and I go, well, we've done this before, or my dad taught me how to think this way and to do that. So when that is your life growing up, sure, you have ambitions bigger than life. Not everybody's going to get there, and you don't know if you'll get there or not. But he made sure that we did everything we could to do the right thing and the right goal, and learn as much as we can, and know as much about what we needed to know, everything about that we needed, the tools to work with to go forward. And we didn't have, we had tools. We didn't have money. We had tools, and we had to work our way up to that point. So it was, yeah, I never would have thought that, but obviously, looking back on it now, I mean, a lot of things that my parents did and our friends did that helped us along the way that, you can't, we didn't know at the time that was working that way, but it did.
Those of us that have been at this for a long time, it's sometimes, Bobby, difficult to reflect upon the present because you can only filter it through what you remember. But as you survey what I call the premier scene, um, are you happy? Are you content with A, the direction that it's taking, and B, the opportunities that present themselves to, well, in much the same way as you and Terry got it presented to you when you first had that dream to make it, quote, to the big time?
Yeah, I think I got your question. Is like, to me, the Cup Series, I keep getting excited about the direction of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, we cannot go back and get a flip phone. Well, we could, I guess, but it wouldn't be, you wouldn't keep up the time. So you can't go back in time. So things that evolve over time that, I think things are going in the right direction. I do think that we were in the era of the golden years, for part of that or for some of that. And I mean, I guess if I had a wish on the Cup Series for opportunities for drivers like we had a Bill Davis. There's Larry McClure. Childress got his break and then expanded, of course. And other team owners that were, had a team and a car and a driver, and a team and a car and a driver, not a team and 5 cars and 5 drivers, or 4 cars and 4 drivers, and 3 and 3. So to me, I wish that was, and it looks like it could be where there is teams coming in, more influx of teams. That would be my only, or my wish. I don't care if it's got 1 lug nut or 10 lug nuts. That's not
Yeah,
the big.
you're like me. Yeah, right.
Who gives a crap? And I don't, the door number there or there, who cares? Just put a door number on it. I like it in the middle, but if you want it somewhere else, I don't care. But really, to me, it's like direction's good. I just wish there was more influx of car owners. And it looks like there's going to be, but even more. I wish there was even more, so that there's Matt Hirschman, what would be his opportunity? How could he get one? Well, sure, you got to go through the ranks, but still, I mean, how do you get there? And then when you get to the point, can you get to that Cup level? You can get truck and Xfinity out, but how do you get there if your goal is right? Because what we did was we had that opportunity.
Yeah.
He had the Billy Hagan, I had the Bill Davis.
There's another aspect to it that, and I guess I'm going to admit to my age. When I see the true young guns, okay, I remember distinctly that Labor Day weekend when your older brother showed up with Billy Hagan's Stratograph 44 and just wowed them all at the track Too Tough to Tame. But I look at today's young guns and, oh my God, I mean, they have such an abundance of talent before they even hit the big time. And they do a lot of things that I don't know if you did. We're talking about film study. We're talking about sim time. As you said, everything evolves. And I am a believer that if we don't evolve, we're going to die. But by the same token, it sounds to me almost as if the battle plan has to be different than the battle plan was for a Bobby Labonte. There's so much more you got to deal with.
Yeah, I would say, I talked to some of these guys. I mean, not like could or should, whatever, but well, first of all, there's always a young gun somewhere down the road, right? My brother was kind of a young gun, even though they weren't as young as they are today. There's a trading car with me and Jeff Gordon and Kenny Wallace, young guns, right? And it's like, okay, so then there's another crowd, and it will always continue to be that way. I was fortunate enough I kind of feel like I've had the time and I showing my age, I worked at Hagan Racing and worked with Jake Elder. He was a crew chief and I was I swept the floor, but I watched what he did and how he rated springs then and how you rate springs today is obviously different. How the driver said, studied a racetrack was different then than it is today. I was fortunate enough, I got to do some sim work and been in a simulator enough times to know that that is another process that the drivers are up to today. So to go to your talent level, I think it's the evolution of what we do.
Yeah.
Simulation and the SMT data. So you are fine tuning. It's like the craft of Jake Elder. He was always on attention to some detail. Jimmy Makar is attention to detail, but you only know what you know. And now the attention to detail is in the driver's hands as well, as far as, when they're giving him information of where so-and-so lets off the gas and they get on the gas and turn the steering wheel this angle, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff is definitely, the driver has to study it more today than obviously the short track racer without the data just going off the seat of his pants, even though the driver today goes off the seat of his pants, but yet there's more information to look at to make a seat better, I think. Maybe if I'm putting words in my mouth, maybe that's right, but there's definitely more information. And these young guys today, and they're all different. Kyle Larson, I'll guarantee it probably doesn't look at the sim data as like Matt DiBenedetto does. I mean,
he'll be, it's funny you bring up Kyle. He'll be the first to admit, I'll describe to my crew what the car is doing. And then he kind of leaves the whole mechanical side of it up to them. That is definitely old school, but I'm of the opinion that it's a benefit for him because he knows what he doesn't know, right, and he surrounds himself with others that do.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. And other people have to do things differently. You know what I mean? If your chief and your team were not as strong in some things, you might have to do more or vice versa. So I think everybody probably you got to find your own level of what makes you think you're the best. And what he does is obviously working. If he were to change, I don't think that would work for him. Where other guys, on the other hand, they need to study it more and have less time to do other things, I guess. So it's definitely still an array of the drivers and the young guys and natural talent, whether they just hit all their marks right with the data that you're given today, could make them equal. Yeah.
There are a couple of things that maybe my listeners do or do not know. You kind of jumped into the deep end of the NASCAR Euro pool for a while. What was that experience like?
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. So that was a great opportunity. I'll have to say that my wife and I, we were kind of like, yeah, that opportunity came about. And it's like, well, we do like to travel.
Uh-huh.
And, I'm not racing the cup car. So it was like, okay, so here's a period of time where you're in between what you're going to do later and what you did. So I went to, so Jerome and Ann, they're the ones that put it all together. NASCAR a little bit from this side, and then Jerome and Ann from the Euro side. So I go over there and run one race. So like it enough where they said, you want to run all the races the next year. So I did. And so I traveled over there probably 7 times, back and forth. And we'd run 2 races on the weekend. The people were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Obviously the adventure and the vacation part you might call was incredible, going to different racetracks that we've been to. Jerome Galpin and his wife, and they were and the whole NASCAR Euro Series was amazing. Drove for a French team that they really couldn't speak good English, but it was fun. I had a great teammate, a young kid with autism I raced with as well, was on our team. It was fabulous. His dad, we have great memories here. And it was like, not something I probably could have done 5 years in a row, but that one year was the friends that I have still that I met that, we WhatsApp, we're talking all the time, we're texting back and forth and keeping up with and all that stuff was definitely, an experience that I'll never forget. It was just so cool. A lot of fun. The racing part, I only finished second one time. The rest of the time I was on road courses and I'm like, dude, these guys do this all the time. Like, okay, you come to Bowman Gray, we'll show you something. But right now, I don't know. I'm learning as much as I could. But you go to Hockenheim, you go to Brands Hatch, you go to Valencia, you go to some of the greatest tracks in the world, and it was fun to be able to go do that.
Well, it was fun to watch, and it's even more fun to see you tackle places like Madhouse with your open-wheeled modified. But more importantly, I appreciate you taking a little time to visit with me today. Continued best wishes to you and your entire family. And you know what? I agree with you. Change is good if we don't keep up. And I think, and I've said this on my podcast, NASCAR's headed in the right direction. Needs some refinement? Absolutely. Nobody's sitting back, however, on their haunches and saying, well, that's the way it's going to be. Look at what they just announced with the Busch Clash going to the LA Coliseum. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. So, I remember back in the heyday in 2000, we were still trying to refine it then.
Yeah.
So, it's just different time and different people, but it's a great quality. I mean, I think the racing, obviously, this weekend, all across the board, and it's like that all the time. It's just, as a racer, as I find good racing in all of it. I never find a boring race. I always find it exciting. Some people don't, but I do. And that's this weekend proved that the progression that they're making and what they've done over the past years is really showing up, and it's exciting to watch. It's exciting to be a part of still, and I'm a big fan first, and then the rest of it falls into place.
Bobby, be well, and thanks so very much.
Okay, thanks, Jack. Appreciate it.